Hi guys, welcome. So we're going to break this video down to 3 parts, and we're going to bring you the latest in marriages and how we're fallen into what certain people chose out of the Bible as how women should be treated in biblical marriages. Yay! So we have this breaking news for you. All right. So this is out of my experiences, out of my observations in past relationships, mine and other people's. Um, just the way that we didn't, you know, get that some the way that we were brought up, because some of us were even Gen X and we didn't want any part of that, right? And mind you, this is me not growing up Christian, but we respected marriages, right? Like, if you knew somebody that was married, that was a big deal. Like, you wouldn't mess with that. Got you. So then, when I'm talking about, but we did see that side of marriage with older people as we were growing up, where the men would act annoyed or bothered with the wife or whatever the case. And you're like, oh, no, thank you. So you've never dreamed of like getting married or anything, right? So then you finally give someone a chance, right? And this is where we fall into the trap, because we think that that person, no matter what they put us through, we're doing a good thing. And don't get the excuse if men happen to hear this video, this message. I'm not a feminist at all. Okay. But I hear no pastors, no one else. I mean, very rarely. Now, made sure to comment in a lot of areas that men should love their wives as Christ loved the church, because very few pastors were mentioning that. So now all of a sudden it's a topic picking up. Now, I'm not just saying because of me. I'm saying God maybe wanted this already. People putting it in there like, hello, we already got the message of submit to your wife. But the Bible does say submit to each other. And we ended up in that trap anyway. So this is for just observations, and that our identity is first in Jesus, not in a marriage, right? That's not your whole identity. You have a purpose. And there is a very strange thing going on right now in the Christian, the body of Christ. And don't even get me started with the whole Christian conservative thing and Christian marriages. So it's come to the point where it's demonic, okay? Because I see that we are building up men that think that they don't have to build and pour into their wives. It's really sad. They objectify their wives, and um, just the way that they want them to be in the background. Like, why aren't they with you? Like, why aren't you building with them? Like, you have other people on the face, like the face of your product, the face of your whatever you're growing, right? So I noticed that it's almost like they're using the Proverbs 31 woman to say, like, and these are young girls, okay? They're super young. I mean, I don't mean that like in a perverse way. Like, no, I mean like they're just young girls that think like, oh, I'm doing a good thing. Which, yes, you should be taking care of your household and such. But these guys and some pastors are acting like they don't need to like, they're just, the girl's like really proud that he's calling her a Proverbs 31 woman, and she's just having the babies and staying home, and you know what I mean? Like, he's not helping her see what's in her as far as God's purpose. Like, because yes, your ministry of your children is number one, but he's not letting her see what else God has in her. Like, what is her purpose, right? So here we go. All right, enjoy. Bye. This is for my young women, mostly, but all women. So this is about marriage, any marriage, right? Because it seems as if society, including Christian circles and culture, I want to say culture because sometimes Christians are not being taught biblical truth about marriage. So I'm going to sound a little bit strong in some points and a little bit probably emotional, but let me get to the point of why I made this recording. So when you marry the wrong person, okay, just say a wrong person in general, not even narcissist, just the wrong person, it's going to affect all parts of your life from the beginning to the end of your life, right? Your marriage it's like you're supposed to take it so serious in the Bible, right? You're supposed to take it serious. But in culture, in the world, as we say, right, we're taught that even outside of the Christian view, we're taught that we're supposed to be a certain way for our husbands, right? Because even the men that don't respect their wives or want to objectify their wives expect a certain treatment from their wives, right? But then there's those Christians that are on the fence. They're not completely Christian, really. They don't follow Jesus like that or the Bible, but they're making, they're doing certain, I guess, announcements, like especially podcasters or, like how women are supposed to treat men, right? Or submit in quotations, even non-Christian men. So I'm going to make a different video for that. But for this video, I'm going to talk about what you're going to go through if you marry the wrong person, especially if that person's a narcissist, okay? It could be men or women, but right now I'm talking about men. When you marry a narcissistic man, right? Maybe you didn't realize that's what he was, because this touches the spiritual side. It touches just culture. It touches, trauma in a person, right? But that person that you marry should care enough to take care of themselves and their wounds. When they should be taking care of themselves. So when they do get married, or once they're married, they should realize when you get married, you're there to serve, whether it's a man or a woman, right? You're supposed to serve each other. So in the Bible, it does say you should submit to each other. But see, society has taken that and say, even non-Christian men will use Bible and say that the women are supposed to submit, right? So we only submit to men that submit to God, right? And this because they can lead you down the wrong hole. They can lead you to your death, because say you are so submitted and you're blinded, right, by love or what you think is love, or you're blinded what you think love could be, the potential of love in your relationship and hope. And that can be led by the enemy, the devil, right? So when we're getting into the spiritual side, that trauma causes people to carry or allow demons in them, right? Or demons were used to cause the trauma, or, whoever they were around. It could have been spiritual, it could have been in the natural, but it caused a trauma. So that person, because we've all been through something, right? But we all have free will as well. It's our flesh, right? Our free will, but also our flesh can lead us toward things that we shouldn't be doing, right? But our free will that God gave us, he gave us a mind, will, and emotions to be able to decide if we're going to do something, right? And if we do things also with your spirit and what kind of spirit you're doing it, right? What's influencing you, your flesh. It could be a demon. It could be, demons around you posing as friends or family, and whatever the case. So anyway, once someone was traumatized by, it could have been something horrific, or it could have just been gradual or daily neglect, daily, maybe not being seen by parents or acknowledged, or even just straight up neglected, or what they consider abandoned because they weren't with that parent or the other, one parent or the other. Anyway, the point is, when you get married, that you're no longer, it's not just you. It's not just you. It's your spouse, especially if you're a man and you're marrying a woman, as it should be. You're going to want to be so. No one's completely healed. I mean, you should be. This is why we need Jesus, because without Jesus, we try to heal with so many other things, right? Therapy and books and self-help and all this stuff are distractions. And yes, even when we have Jesus, we're not going to be living a perfect life. But when we're doing something that's creative, that we're exercising, we're taking care of our bodies, and we're doing things that God created us to do. Like, he was the creator, right? He made us to be creative. Yes, all those things can heal us and make us, not think about, just the trauma, right? But when you decide that you don't want to heal, that you want to walk around like that, being ugly, right? It's not just like, oh, they're just grumpy, or, oh, they're just, they're just like that. No, because you've seen that person control it with certain people. They'll be like that with certain people, but not with other people. Like, they're at work, they're not going to show up. I mean, they might have a bad day or something here and there, but they're going to show up with that face, like they're there to lift everyone up. But with you, you can be their punching bag, and they don't care. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to take it all. Like, you're going to be and mind you, you're the person that might have pushed them. They're even successful now that they're, but they couldn't have done it without you, right? Say they had bad habits, they had undisciplined, whatever, right? And because you thought in your head, see, this person already, since they met you, saw what you had in you. So they knew you could do great things. But when you saw them, you saw potential, false potential, right? So whatever energy you use to push them, instead of yourself, you could have used that for yourself. It ended up being a waste of time, right? Because this person can't fake it for that long. Okay. And you might have seen it here and there, but you ignored it, like, okay, well, you're like, oh, I have my moments too. But no, because you were actually thinking that you were doing this out of love, that you really did do it. No, this person, this sounds scary, but they could have gone into the marriage with the agenda that they were going to use you to push them. Do you know what I mean? Like, this person doesn't have to be completely stupid, like, right? Or completely ignorant, but maybe they are a little bit. But but they saw what you had in you, right? Or maybe they're a little lazy. And, it can be exhausting when and God made you this way, but maybe you hadn't even had your complete relationship with Jesus yet. You didn't even come to know him yet. But he made you a certain way, right? Because you would be an uplifter of people. You would be a creative person. I don't want to use the word bubbly, but yes, bubbly. Like, bring life into a room, because that's how God made you, right? And when they see this, they try to drown that out unless it's going to be for them, because they don't want people noticing you like you have the light, right? So when you're the one propping them up and you're the one like, you can do it, and right? And you're like, you can do it. And they're like, well, maybe. I mean, I can see some people being like humble and like, oh, they're not sure, and a little too humble or too. But when it gets to a point where you're draining yourself, where these people are just being bitter about it, like they don't even want you to be that person that's pushing them. It's kind of creepy. Like, you're obviously not going to force someone to do something like that you think that they should be doing. You're not going to force them to do it, but they'll pretend like you weren't the one that gave them the idea or push them into like, yeah, you should do da. And I'm not saying, there's some people that can be fake, right? And they can pretend like they gave you the idea and that's why, no. I'm not talking about that, because we can notice those people too. I'm talking about how this person was satisfied with whatever they were doing, and you were like, oh, I think you can do this and you can do that. And you're like their life coach without getting paid, right? And so whatever talents you have, when you're not wasting time pushing them, I mean, it's not always a waste of time if it's the right person. But when it's a narcissist, you're going to be wasting all your energy trying to lift them up, trying to push them, and then they'll turn around and like disrespect you or harshly at home, right? Or in front of other people. They'll do things that you notice, but other people won't notice, okay? So they might bring you a drink, serve you a plate, and you're like, oh, thank you. You reach to kiss them, and they'll kiss you back in front of everybody. But they'll do subtle things, okay? So say you wanted to, say that person, right? Say your husband knows that certain people treat you a certain way. So instead of them avoiding them, right? Like just avoid them. And I'm not saying like when someone catches you in a corner of a room, like, oh, and they start a conversation and you're trying to get away. Yeah. But when they're obvious, like they could have avoided the situation. It was so easy, but they went out of their way to go seek that person. Do you know what I mean? Or allow them to trap them in a corner of a room, like, and not even try to get away. So they'll do subtle things like that. And then when you bring it up, you are going to ask like, oh, what happened? What were they talking about? Oh, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, no, I'm not sure. They won't really want to give you, maybe they weren't even talking about you, right? But they don't want to give you access to that conversation as if they owe some sort of loyalty to that person. They'll do a lot of stuff like that, okay? And that's just one of the sneaky things they'll do. But let me tell you, this is why it's important. When you have kids, this is going to bleed over into that, even when they're little, okay? Remember, so when you marry a narcissist and say that, I mean, I know this is a common, it's a common image we have, like on TV or TV shows, movies. Oh, the wife's trying to get the husband to eat healthier. Ha, 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 ha. Right? But, to a certain point, if you're taking care of people around you and your family, that's your ministry. That's your first ministry, your home. But to a certain point, when you're wasting energy trying to get someone to eat well that doesn't want to eat well, and they're making you feel bad about it, to the point where you come to tears, right? Because they snap at you or whatever. Think about what that moment did to your body, right? Like, I'm not talking, your kids, you might snap at your kids here and there because you're busy or but your kids know that you love them. I mean, you could still hurt their feelings. You have to be careful. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Acknowledge that you hurt their feelings. But when the narcissist snaps at you, it's to knock you off your like to destabilize you, because they don't want you going around uplifting people. And at that point, that's a demon, okay? Or it's their flesh being full of pride that they don't want to take that advice from you. Who do you think you are? And I not just that, I bumped into so many people that do stuff like that I'm not even connected to like that, like married, but also that it's like it bugs them to see that you're taking care of yourself, or that they're too lazy to do it. And they might even know, but maybe they don't know, but they don't want to give you the credit. Okay. So anyway, when you marry someone that's a narcissist, they're going to, I've seen this so many times and I didn't realize this. Okay. I didn't realize this, that was happening. Okay, till later. And maybe one day I'll tell you why till later. But so I would notice that the narcissistic spouse would try to get the kids to eat unhealthy. So it's not just like, oh, I'm going to give him some of this. It's fun. Hey, let's see how he likes it. Because we like to see our kids enjoying things, or, their first experience tasting something, or, you want to see that. But this is nefarious. This is more like they want to get that child to live a certain lifestyle that's not going to benefit them. That's going to, make them unhealthy mentally, physically. And children's images as their image of themselves as they're growing up, you don't have to be a psychiatrist to notice this, or a therapist. You notice this in your own kids, how they look affects them a lot, preteen to whatever age. Like even, we get insecure sometimes as adults. But when the narcissistic parent is trying to get the child to eat all these unhealthy things, it's almost out of spite for you and the jealousy over the children, okay? Because they see how adored they are, right? And maybe they didn't have that. And sometimes, yes, spouses can be like a little jealous, like, hey, you're kind of kidding around, but kind of not, like, hey, what about me? Like, but they'll say it and they'll joke around, and you deal with that, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I haven't been, it could be with anything. It could be with a craft, a job, that the other spouse is like, hey, hello. So, but this is nefarious. This is like, it's weird. So especially if your child looks like you, that spouse will get even more annoyed. That spouse will get more annoyed. Like, it's like, they're, and you come to realize that, I can't explain why they do that, but you come to realize that maybe the way that they were treating you, and you had to fight for the way you wanted to live your lifestyle. Like, you probably didn't even drink like that person drank, and you probably didn't eat like they ate. So whenever you were together, and this is not the cutesy, opposites attract. No, this is a spiritual thing where that demon will try to take you to their side, right? Because they feel ugly about themselves. They're going to try to drag you down and your children, okay? So they'll do so many things that once, say you realize who that person is and you get to the point, or they betrayed you, right? You get to the point where you're now trying to figure out, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be with this person. And you don't just come to this, it might pop in your head here and then. You're like, oh, well, we'll deal with that. Oh, we'll deal with this. Because, yeah, marriage isn't perfect. But it's like a pattern. It keeps doing it and doing it and doing it. And you keep and it might even get to the point where every time it happened, you were crying and that person saw you crying, and then they don't change. They just keep going. Or they saw that it upset you, that it really caused you to feel, ugly, rejected. When I say ugly, not ugly physically. It might sometimes, but I mean ugly inside. Or, they made you feel some sort of way, right? They're always trying to make you knock that light out of you, right? They shut it down. So But so say that this has gone too many times. This has gone on too many times. So then finally, if you are getting to the point where you're calling it out more and more, they're going to start hating you. Okay? They're going to start noticing that you always, like you could have called things out casually, but you know what? You kind of always knew, and this is a warning too. You always knew that this person was kind of shifty. Like you could kind of touch their loving side, but not really. And you held that in the back of your head, right? And then you're thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't invest so much into this marriage. And this goes for even good marriages, ladies, okay? Even if you are in a good marriage, in quotations, right? I don't want to list what is a good marriage or not. But if you're, well, eventually I will, but if you're in what you consider good marriage, remember, do not make that person your identity. Do not make that person, yes, it's your first priority after God, but do not because remember, God said, love your neighbor, but guess what? You can't even love your neighbor if you don't love God and yourself, because God made you in his image. And if you can't even recognize that, you don't even know how to love someone else, right? So you can't even take care of yourself. You're supposed to protect yourself. If you see someone's obviously you wouldn't straight up see a flaky person and just go marry them if you notice they're flaky, but you're going to notice how this person prioritizes you, right? So this is how it's not just like, oh, match energy. No, sometimes you do have to do that to protect yourself, because let me tell you, women put too much identity into their husbands, okay? And sadly, we don't, even in the Bible, it told us that men's hearts were hardened, when the Israelites were in the wilderness, and Moses was trying to get them through. Moses asked God, can they have a certificate of divorce for, the men that are hardening their hearts toward their wives because they're mistreating them and they're this and that, right? Not just because the woman says she's bored, she's going to claim that the man's mistreating her. No, this is real. The man doesn't have to beat you or do obvious things to hurt you. Just abandonment, even while they're living with you, like they can reject you. They can do so many things while they're living with you, okay? Not acknowledge you, not talk to you. And I've seen this a lot. This is why I never wanted to get married when I was young. So, okay. Yeah. They don't want to acknowledge you. They won't talk to you. That's ugly. Like you don't have any, I'm not saying like, yes, each one of you can have their own hobbies or whatever. I mean, but obviously if you're a busy guy and you are so into your job and you come home and you're still going to go do your hobby, then it's clearly, come on. But I'm talking about, or even the job, you can make it your whole priority and think that your wife is just the house manager, right? And now you're only talking about business things, about the house, that's ugly. That's ugly. Why did you even get married? Just hire someone to take care of your house. Why do you want to have kids just to say you're a dad? No. So when you pick your spouse, women, remember, start noticing things when you're dating. Start noticing things when you're just how he reacts to certain things, because trust me, you are going to see that later in life and worse, okay? I've seen it in so many of my family and friends' marriages. And I've had friends like tall, beautiful, and these men, and I'm Gen X, right? My friends were Gen X. But I've still seen it in younger generations where the women, the girls, the young ladies are falling victim to what they think a wife is supposed to be, right? Like you totally just lose yourself, forget yourself, and just you not care about how anyone treats you and your family, your husband, anybody. Okay? No, Because then when you're out in public, you're out at different places, you don't even know how people are supposed to treat you. You're going to go to the same restaurant that doesn't treat you like you're a guest, that you have to walk in and greet them. You have to make the waitress feel comfortable. That's no. And if you see society, that's what they want you to do now. Like, you're not even supposed to want to go to a restaurant and enjoy it. They want you as a customer to just take what they give you. That's not godly. Okay? So, when we have all these podcasters already making it hard for women, and these podcasters can be men or women, but they're making it hard for women to acknowledge themselves. Like, you're a person that God made. You're supposed to acknowledge yourself and love yourself. How is it possible that you're not even seeing yourself as, and I'm speaking to myself too, okay? Because when you do have that light, right? God made you a certain way. Even before you accepted Jesus, yeah, obviously God made you like that, and we give him all the glory, all the credit. But when you're that type of person and God made you like that, it was for a purpose. You have a purpose, whatever it is. And then you don't have to necessarily be bubbly, but you have other gifts that God gave you. You have a purpose in life. And like I said, your main purpose when you're married and have kids is to have that first ministry is your children. Whether you have a ministry or not, that's our first ministry, to our children and our husband. But see, when you marry the wrong person, that person will try to take you away from God, right? You anything that's godly, they won't like. That's from Jesus, right? To clarify, in case anyone else pops in here that's not a Christian, and you don't have to be a Christian to listen to this, but it's to lead you to Jesus, okay? Because that's the only way to navigate life, because you're not going to be able to deal with what life throws at you without Jesus. Trust me, I tried to do it, okay? And I was handling everything, juggling everything on my shoulders. It was heavy. And I was fine. I was like superwoman, thinking that I could do it all. And I was good for a while. Then you get burned out. And then when you're not serving that role to everyone in your life like that, then they get mad. Then they're like, oh my gosh, she changed. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I repent. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I repent. Sorry, Father, I repent. Sorry, I was thinking out loud. So when you're thinking that you're not supposed to be taking care of yourself anymore, when you start taking care of yourself and these people are so mad about it, they'll start, especially if it's around the time that you came to Jesus, okay? Because this happened to me. So this was even before, I was always calling out things, but they wouldn't really listen to me because I was, kind of emotional, or I would blurt it out, right? I would call things out because I wanted to not forget what I was seeing. And for that reason, they wouldn't take me serious, because I would go back to normal again. Like, oh, okay, yeah. I wouldn't stay down, but I would remember and I would call it out again. So when you're that cheerful person and you call things out, they don't take you seriously, because, you're like, it doesn't take much to get you smiling again, right? But you don't forget. So, but when I really put my foot down, as they say, and that's another topic too, how people pretend to put their foot down for certain things, that only things that are convenient for them. So anyway, when I started walking with Jesus, I noticed that friends and family that had access to me all the time, right? And I was always giving everyone advice, or this is how I do this. And not like, oh, I'm so great, this is how I do this. They would just come to me and ask me, right? Or how do you do it? And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I didn't mind. I loved it, right? But it came to a point where it was draining, because they didn't even take the advice I gave them seriously. And they would ask me again, the same thing. Or even how to do or make something. Like, I'm giving you the time and energy to do this, and you're not even writing it down or whatever. Anyway, when I stopped doing that and I wasn't sitting in that role anymore, they started manifesting. And for those of you that aren't Christians, manifesting means like their demons started manifesting. Like, you're not going to be that person we could. Sorry, guys, I ended that part abruptly because I had split the original video and the voice part. But I'm going to break this up into 2 or 3 more parts. As far as this relationship video, the rest of my videos will be about wolves in sheep's clothing and in all sorts of relationships, okay, or networking, whatever you want to call it. This time is that we're living in, it's great deception everywhere. Okay, guys, like and subscribe, please. And thank you for stopping by, and I'll be adding more videos soon. Thank you for checking me out. Bye.